Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go.
I'm not really entirely sure what we're talking about this morning, but it's something to do with the fact that it's a month till Christmas and it's a good time to have a think about what you want to achieve in the rest of the year and how you want to move forward into next year. And we were saying that we might talk a bit about reinventing ourselves. So shall I just start?
Yeah, let's go.
It is the 25th of November, isn't it? I mean, how the actual we've got to the 25th of November, I have no idea. So it's a month to go, exactly a month to go until Christmas. And I just thought, I mean, as usual, we did our thing where we just messaged each other this morning, like, what are we going to talk about? But I thought this would be quite a good one to talk about because I think it's very easy at this time of year to kind of let everything go and just be like, oh, well, you know what, Christmas is coming up, so I'm just going to let that go. I'm just going to let that, I won't, but, you know, I'll start again in the new year. But actually, I think this is a really good time of year to almost kind of double down on the things that we want to do, and double down on our goals so that we kind of head into 2025 feeling really good, rather than feeling a bit shit. So I, for one, want to double down on. I'm up in London at the moment and my routines have just gone completely out of the window because it was my sister's 50th birthday last year and that kind of took up a couple of days, and then you know, I've just been not in my usual routine. So actually I want to double down on my kind of healthy routines. For example, the last week I've done no strength training, I've done no rebounding sessions. I've still been going for my daily walks, but I haven't been doing that kind of fitness routine that makes me feel so good. So for the rest of this year, rather than just saying, oh, fuck it, you know, it's nearly December, it's nearly Christmas, what's the point? I'm going to do the opposite and go, right, the next few weeks of the final few weeks of this year, I want to really double down on all of that stuff so that I feel really good going into Christmas. I feel good about myself rather than the opposite. So yes, that's kind of what we're talking about. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I love this because it's very easy, isn't it, at this point of the year to go, oh, well, gosh, well, I'll start all those good intentions that I've got come the 1st of January. And yeah, great, we can all do that. But why not now use this as an opportunity to really, yeah, really I think also get super clear on what it is that you actually want. We often can leave, you know, you can just say, oh, well, I'm just going to figure it all out 1st of January and then go for it. But actually, I personally feel like now is the opportunity so that you can go, you can be so clear and then you can start next year in the way that you really want to go. But you can start it now. You can get that motivation moving on, that motivation going. I love this idea of, I think it's Mel Robbins. She uses a really great analogy about your life being a little bit like a road trip and how every year that you have, so I'm now 51. I had to think about that for a minute. I'm now 51. So I've kind of almost got 51 miles on the clock of my road trip. And so I've got lots behind me, but I've also got so many miles ahead of me. And I think it's easy to kind of think, oh my gosh, I'm 51. We've talked about aging before, but actually, it's a really good opportunity to think, oh my gosh, I've got this whole open road, this whole stretch before me. And actually, where do I want that road to go? Where do I want this trip to go? Am I happy with it where it is?
yeah.
Am I feeling a little bit like I'm on autopilot and just going through the motions and actually not really getting to the place I want to get to? Or can I use this time as an opportunity to really get clear on where I'm going, on that destination? And I think that that's, for me, that is what I am really thinking about right now. What is my destination? Where am I going? And how am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? And can I get that motivation in place before, well, as soon as I
Yeah,
possibly can? And yes, we all take a couple of weeks off, most of us will take some time off at Christmas and we can really fully enjoy that. And we've got to, it's important that we do, but let's not waste this month, this time, and then sort of feel a bit like we stumbling into January,
yeah,
kind of like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. So for me, you said about your health. For me, it's getting my social media game back on again.
oh God,
So
yeah, me too.
I used to
Oh,
be actually pretty blooming good on Instagram. I used to really enjoy it. I used to get quite creative. It used to bring out my sort of inner sort of, I don't know. I used to kind of enjoy making reels and I've been really off it. And I'm not saying that this is, because I don't want to make a reel and come at it with the wrong kind of energy. But I was thinking recently about how can I make this fun? How can I make it as easy as
yeah,
possible? How can I use it in a way that is going to really just enhance life rather than it to feel like a proper old drag,
yeah.
which sometimes let's be honest, it can
Yep,
do. So that is where I'm focusing my energy on at the moment, is really I just want to bring back some
yeah,
playfulness with social media and how it can really enhance and not necessarily and not get too serious about it because I think I've always been thinking, oh, how can I enhance it, use it to enhance my business and grow, and but actually I think it's sometimes about let's leave all of that and just actually enjoy the platform
yeah.
for what it is, for social connections, for meeting people, um, and having a bit of a laugh with it. So yes, that's where I'm coming out with it, and I think yeah, it's a great time to ask yourself, where do you want to go? Where's your destination? And it's a great opportunity to we use that word, you use that word reinvention, but to really reinvent that quite sounds quite drastic, reinvent who you are, but it's an opportunity to, yeah, if you think about, I'm not happy with this, I'm
Mm.
on autopilot, I want my destination change. This is an opportunity for reinvention. Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? This is the time to think about it.
Absolutely. It really is. We talked about being intentional a few weeks ago, but it's kind of back to that really. It's that sort of getting really intentional about and thinking now rather than leaving it until January the 1st. And then, by the time we hit January, before we know it, it's freaking Christmas again. It's like this is actually the time to use to get clear on where we do want to go in 2025 and who we do want to be and what we perhaps want to achieve, or do we have any goals or any dreams that we want to start moving towards. And in fact, speaking of social media, you've reminded me that's another thing that I also want to get my shit together with again this year, because for the rest of this year, because I've been so rubbish recently on social media. I go through phases like you where sometimes I'm kind of all in and I feel energized by it and I'm kind of motivated to do it. But then I go through these phases where I'm like, I actually cannot bear it. And I'm just like, I just can't do this. I just can't deal with Instagram. And I do the kind of my basic posts about the podcast and, the very, very easy things that don't require very much of me. But actually, like you, I also want to get more intentional about, showing up on Instagram much more regularly. And I think now is the time to do it rather than wait until the new year. I just think we're missing a trick when we don't use these next few weeks. And of course, there's all the kind of Christmas build up and all of that, but we can also use these few weeks to really get us focused on where we're going. And like you say, it's asking ourselves, who do I want to be next year? How do I want to be next year? Where do I want to be next year? And perhaps thinking now about a few of your goals rather than waiting until that classic January the 1st, and everyone's like, oh my God, okay, now I've got to make some New Year's resolutions. I don't like doing that. I just, and we all know that they don't work, they don't last. We all set them, and then by the third week of January or something, they've got, whenever it is in February, they've gone out the window. Whereas if you start something now and you're already thinking about what you want 2025 to look like, and you start slowly moving towards that, then you're already kind of on a roll by the time we even get to the new year. So yeah, I think it, again, we talked about being intentional before, but it is worth sort of bearing that in mind and just being really intentional about how you want to show up for the next few weeks and going into
Yeah.
2025, you know?
And I think a really good example of this is, for example, we both love our morning routines, but if you're someone who's kind of going, oh, as you said at the beginning, my exercise has really slipped. Actually, just this is a great time to get back
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
Christmas, because then you won't feel so crap and guilty
Yeah.
about eating all the beautiful food that is out there to be eaten.
Yeah.
But actually, why not start today? Why not start right now and set the intention, set the alarm clock tomorrow, get up and get yourself moving. Start that morning routine, start that mindfulness practice, whatever it is. Now is a great time. And okay, over Christmas, you don't have to stick at it every single day, but actually, at least you've kind of you've got that motivate, you've kind of got that momentum
Yeah.
started that it's going to be so easy to kind of keep it going. And it will help you enjoy all the festivities so much more.
So much.
And I think also, what was I going to say then? Oh, it's gone out of my head. A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
One of us always does this. It's normally
Oh
me.
gosh, yeah. Oh yes. About time. Yes, I got it back. About time. I think for so many of us, and I don't know about you, but for me, the older I get, time just goes ridiculously fast. But I think quite a lot of that can be because we are on autopilot
Yeah.
a lot of the time. We're doing all the things, we're going through the motions. But I do believe that when we add something in that you truly love or you truly enjoy, that is, again, you've got intention in that thing, whatever it is. And maybe it is something you're not going to enjoy so much as some sort of fitness goal or whatever, but you know ultimately that the end result is going to make you feel good. The more of those sorts of things I think we can put in, I do think it changes your relationship with time.
Yeah.
Because you're actually slowing time down, because when you're doing those things, and particularly if it is something that you love, the time slows down in those moments. So I've started, I'm so excited because I got given a piano by somebody recently. And I used to play the piano when I was up until I was about 15, 16. I pretty well. I went through the grades. It was all good. And then I just didn't play the piano because we didn't have a piano. We didn't have a piano in my old house. We never had anywhere to put it. We had a crappy old keyboard, but I never really liked playing that. Anyway, in this new house, I have been given this piano, and I got the app Simply Piano, which honestly, this is where technology is just freaking amazing, because I can just go through this app. It's like having a tea. It's so brilliant. You can play different songs. I'm kind of reminding myself how to read music and all these things. I can lose myself in that piano for loads of time, and it's so enjoyable and I'm loving it. And adding something like that into my days, which initially I'd be thinking, I haven't got time for that. But actually, I'm making time for that. If I've got half an hour at lunchtime, it's almost like a little treat. I'll treat myself and I'll go and sit down at the piano. And it just makes me feel so uplifted. It makes me feel like I'm doing something really lovely for myself. I'm achieving something. I'm getting better. I'm improving. And ultimately, I'll then work better in the afternoon because I've actually had a little break and I've done something. And it just feels like time isn't just so much on that autopilot, because I'm adding in something just a little bit different and something which is really enjoyable.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, Holly. That's awesome, and it's so true, isn't it? When you're kind of going through life on autopilot, the days just sort of merge into one, and but when you are more intentional about the things that you're doing during the day, it does in a way slow time down. I mean, time goes, I just can't even think about it. I can't even believe that it's like a month till Christmas. It feels wild to me. It feels crazy. Funnily enough, I ordered just last night, my new planner. I somehow managed to get out of sync so that my planner starts in like it started in like October, November. It's one of those ones that you can write the date in, so it doesn't matter what time of year you start it. Anyway, I ordered a new one last night because it runs out like in the first week of December. And I felt really excited about getting this new, it's a big A4 planner that I have every year. And I felt really excited about getting that now, before the end of November, and just being able to kind of start perhaps writing out a few of my intentions for the new year, start writing out a few things that I want to achieve in the new year. Because as you and I have talked about before, when it comes to goals, we're one of the best ways to actually achieve a goal is to write it down. When we actually write down a goal, we're so much more likely to actually do it, to actually achieve it. So I'm getting very excited about this. I get very excited about stationery in general, but especially my new planner. And again, as I say, I can start it on any day. So they're just so brilliant. Although I was absolutely gutted because the one I normally use, the maker's Clever Fox, and I went to order the same one that I order every year, which is Rose Gold A4 Clever Fox hourly weekly planner. I absolutely love it. And it said delivery from the 10th of December to the something of January. And I was like, oh my God. So I had to pick a new one. But anyway, there you go. But
Well,
yeah,
sometimes it's good to have a change. Sometimes it's good
exactly.
to mix it up.
No, totally. And I did that. I actually found myself thinking, oh God, I need to wait because I have to have that one. And I was like, no, Lucy, you don't have to have that one. You can have a different planner.
Yeah.
It's okay. The world isn't going to end. But no, I love what you say there about the fact that you started to play the piano again. That's such a great thing to do, and it's so great to, this is sort of slightly going off on a tangent, but it's so great to add those things into your life. That so many of us don't do this. We add those things into our lives that actually bring us joy, and just when we get into that amazing flow state where we're so in the moment that we forget about everything else, that's the feeling that we're all looking for ultimately. Is that feeling of wholeness, that feeling of being so present in the moment. And something like playing the piano is such an amazing way of doing that. So I love that you've
Yeah.
done that. I think it's awesome.
No, it's good. Going back to that analogy of the road trip, I suppose
Yeah,
what it's doing is like you've kind of got your destination, you know where you're going, you've got those goals, which is kind of keeping you focused. Because imagine if you're driving in a car on a trip and you don't know where you're going, it's going to feel horrendous. And that's when really you're on autopilot. You don't really know where you're going. Like what's the whole point of this? So that's why it's good to have a goal. But actually, along the way, if you're on a road trip, you're stopping off and you're doing fun activities, or you're seeing something different, or that's what you want to be doing. You want to be enjoying the journey as well as knowing where you're
yeah,
going. And I think
absolutely.
that's what we're trying to do here. It's like, you've got to to know where you're going is going to help you get there. But let's take a few. Oh God, I'm not making any sense at all.
No, no, I know exactly what you're saying. Basically,
Let's
we have to
try.
learn how to enjoy the journey as well as. So
Exactly.
it's great to have a vision of where we're going, and we all want to have that vision. But
Exactly.
actually, we mustn't forget to enjoy the ride, because what's that very, very, very famous saying? Like it's the journey, not the
Yeah.
destination. And it always
Yeah.
is, because whenever the problem is when we have a destination where we think once we get to that destination, then suddenly everything is going to be this, and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to be this. And it never works like that. So actually, a key to life, in my humble opinion, is truly learning to enjoy that journey and actually finding joy in those little. If we can find the joy in those little daily activities, just the small things like going for a walk, playing piano for half an hour, doing a meditation, it really is the key to, I think, a happy, content life, is
Yeah.
finding finding the joy in those little moments every day, not the big spectacular things, but just the everyday things. That is what we want to try and do, and just get really present. And actually, that's one thing I would say. And speaking about time as we just were, this time of year, like let's make the most of the fact that we haven't yet got to the end of 2024. It will be so easy now to just find ourselves on the 31st of December going, holy shit, how did I get here? So let's be mindful that we're only the 25th of November and we've still got several weeks to go before we get to the end of this year. But let's be present to that. Let's be really present to the fact that we have still got, for how many weeks, 5 weeks or whatever it is till the end of the year. And let's use those so that by the time we get to 2025, we don't feel like this last month and a bit has just, faded into nothingness. I think that's really important.
And also that will really help for those people who sometimes can feel slightly overwhelmed at this time of the year, that there is so much to get done before Christmas. So, I know how that can feel. It can oh my gosh, I've got all the family coming, I've got to buy presents, I've got all of that to do as well as my job, and it can feel a lot. And so that is often why we then tend to drop the practices which actually make us feel good, but actually in these potentially stressful situations, this is when we need to double down on those practices, because if we can double down on those practices, that is going to fuel us and ultimately give us more energy and more resilience to be able to cope with stressful situations. And I say this all the time, but I think a lot of people just go, but I don't have time to do my breathwork practice. I don't have time to go and have a walk. I don't have time to get outside, whatever it is. But actually, you do have time, and it will make you feel better, and it will make you feel calmer. And the whole point of Christmas is that it's a celebration and it's a fun time. It's not just to go through your to-do list and try and tick off as many things as possible, and then to reach that pinnacle moment of the day, which is often always an anticlimax anyway. I think I was speaking to my daughter the other day, and she suddenly was like, I love Christmas and I've always looked forward to the day, but I've realized I actually prefer the build up to Christmas so much more than the day. The day is actually always a bit of an anticlimax. And I was like, I know, it really is. It's the build up, which is the fun thing, the fun part of it. So let's just enjoy the build up and not get stressed about this one day, which, as we say, it's not everything. It's just, let's just feel as good as we can going into this festive period.
Totally. One thing, I couldn't agree more with what your daughter said. I feel exactly the same way. It's not the day, it's the build-up that's the build-up that's the fun, but it's just the vibe. Because as soon as we all get to Christmas Day, everyone is at home with their families, and then it's like, oh well, it's over now, and there's just that kind of. I always feel slightly depressed. It's like, oh no, that this amazing time of year is now over. But one thing I just wanted to pick up on, Polly, was what you said about time, how we do have time, and I think this is so key. And I love this conversation because, as human beings, I believe that we will make time for the things that we want to do. It is as simple as that. And any one of us, if we're completely honest with ourselves and we say we don't have time for this, we don't have time for that, I don't have time for a morning routine, I don't have time to go for a walk, I don't have time to do a meditation. I mean, all of us are spending time on social media, and the average amount of time that we spend on social media every day is something horrendous like 3 hours. All of us can find time. And just the same way as, when it comes to friends, we will create time for the people we actually want to see. And if we're saying to someone, I'm really sorry, I don't have time to meet up, generally, I think it's that we kind of don't want to, because we prioritize the things in life that we want to do. So we've got to ask ourselves, hang on a minute, am I actually prioritizing this thing that I know is good for me? Am I making excuses that I don't have time? Because just like you said, we do have time. It's just that we don't prioritize. We don't always prioritize our time in the right way. So I just think that's worth bearing in mind. And all of us, myself included, can waste lots of minutes during the day, half an hour here or half an hour there, that we're wasting, whether it be scrolling or whatever it is. We could watch one less episode of Netflix before we go to bed, and use that half an hour to do whatever else. But I think we have a tendency to prioritize the things that we ultimately, at least the way that I am, is I will always find time for the things that I want to do. It is as simple as that.
Yeah.
So it's a question of priorities ultimately.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And that's why getting intentional with what you want can really help you prioritize your time. Because if you're not intentional, then you do just let these things slip because it's not important. Because as you said, we make time for things which we prioritize, which are important to us. So yes, pick a couple of things. Start with one thing. Start with just a couple of things to prioritize and go, I am going to make time for that. And then just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. There's no point faffing around and thinking about it. Just do it. Just start now. There's no point wasting time because the feeling that you will have when you do it and all the benefits you're going to get from it totally outweigh anything else. The feelings that you have not doing it make you just feel lacking of energy. What the best thing that does when you do carry out the thing is, like this morning, for example, I really didn't want to exercise. I wanted to stay in bed a little bit longer. I very nearly did, but then that little thing inside me was like, no. I always think about the end result. I don't think about the process. I always think about how do I want to feel today. And I knew that I would, if I hadn't have gone and exercised, I would be really down on myself and like feeling a bit blah. And so I just came back to that. How do I want to feel? And I just reminded myself of that amazing feeling I have once I've done it. And that got me out of bed and that got me going. And so that is what you've got to really just keep hanging on to. How do I want to feel when I've done the thing? And it does just energize you. It gives you that energy. It gets you off. That's another way you get off that autopilot, just sort of going through life, not sure where you're going, is give yourself those opportunities to re-energize, to give you, again, we talk about momentum, which will then fuel all the other things in your day. So if you start your day with something which you can be proud of, then that's just going to fuel you. Oh, I've done that. Right now I can go on to the next thing. Whereas if you start your day a bit flat going, oh, I should have done that and I didn't because I couldn't be bothered to get out of bed, then that energy is also going to take you through the rest of the day and you're sort of in that mode. So yes, do start the day with something to really fuel you, really energize you, and you'll be so surprised how much more you will achieve in your day. And yeah, just keep focused on those goals. Just keep focused on that sort of destination you want to get to. But again, enjoy the ride along the way.
Totally. And also remember that now is the time. Now is the time before we get completely caught up in Christmas and New Year. Now is the time to start that thing. Don't wait until January to start the thing that you want to do. Start it now, and then you'll be on a roll by the time the new year gets here. And actually, speaking of like you getting up this morning, I mean, I got up at 5 this morning and I really, really didn't want to. I did cock-a-doodle-oo, my morning routine club, at 6, which was great. But then I totally didn't do my rebounder and my strength training. I just didn't. And I wish I had. So going back to that feeling of how are you going to feel? Well, now I'm really pissed at myself because I didn't do it. And I know, I'm showered, I'm dressed, I won't do it for the rest of the day. And I'm annoyed about that because I know that had I done that, I would feel so much better now. I'd have a better day because it's always the case. And, that doesn't have to be exercise. That can be playing the piano for half an hour or whatever it may be, just doing that thing that makes you feel good. It's kind of, it's being really intentional about doing something every day that just brings you joy. It's just something that you are choosing to do rather than just getting caught up in the routine of life and going onto that autopilot where you're just not being intentional. If we could just find even just half an hour to do something that brings us a little bit of joy, something that is just for us, And now is as good a time as any to start. Like, it's only the 25th of November. We've got weeks until the end of the year. Let's make the fucking most of it.
Yeah,
And I,
absolutely.
yeah. And I think on that note, it's 29 minutes past. So I think we can
Perfect.
probably wrap it up,
Well,
baby.
hopefully that has given someone a little bit of motivation
Yeah.
to get going this Monday morning. So yes.
All right.
Right.
And it's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank
Nice
you.
to
And
see
I'll,
you.
you too, babe. I'll speak to you later.
All
Have
right.
a
Take
good
care.
day. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.